And what are these lights you brought here?
I brought some portable incandescent lights because I wasn't satisfied with the lighting environment here. I do that when I travel. It's great because incandescent lights, in my opinion, healthiest lights.
Obama banned those, right?
Yeah, they've been on the chopping block for a while now. So they're banned from manufacturing in the United States. There's a 45 lumen per watt efficiency standard by the Department of Energy. So that is measuring the amount of brightness versus the amount of power that's required to power the bulbs. The
Department of Energy.
Yeah, and that's
the same company that was renamed 3 times after it was originally called the Manhattan Project.
Sure, yeah.
The company that made the fucking atomic bomb.
Department of Energy. Yeah. Okay,
that's crazy.
I didn't know that. But the problem is they have a standard that is completely ignorant of the fact that infrared light is vitally important for our biology and our health and all life on this planet. Sunlight is 50 to 55% infrared light from an energy perspective, 70% infrared light from a photons per second perspective. And when we switch to LEDs, that goes to 0. When we're inside behind energy efficient glass, a lot of that gets filtered out. So what I like to do with incandescence, and Steve is pulling up some nice spectrums here.
Yeah, this is what you were showing me at the house a minute ago.
Yeah, we measured it with the spectrometer. It's rich in long wavelength, low energy light that is very, very beneficial for our biology. It does things like stimulates melatonin production in the mitochondria to actually balance the oxidative response from higher energy wavelengths, such as blue, violet, and UV. And we're deficient in infrared light. So the incandescents put that back. So I'm a much bigger fan of incandescent infrared maxing as opposed to blocking blue light during the day.
Yeah.
And
so you were just at my house and you gave me a new incandescent bulb for one of my lamps, and when you first scanned the lamp with the LED bulb, it looked exactly like the one on the left with that huge blue spike. Then when he did it with the incandescent bulb, it looked exactly like the one on the right. And we went outside in the sunlight, it looked more like the incandescent chart on the right.
Well, it looked like the one on the left here that's showing the sunlight, which is full spectrum. So you get a lot of, violet, you get ultraviolet, you get everything. You get everything from ultraviolet to infrared. And these spectrometer images don't even capture most of the infrared spectrum. The infrared spectrum goes from like 750 nanometers to tens of micrometers. Like it's very vast, and the visible spectrum is very narrow. It's like 300 nanometers. So the majority of what you're taking in from sunlight is infrared. There you go.
Steve, if we lit our studio with these incandescent lights, what would be the downside?
It would cost more money.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've lit tons of studios.
Power.
It just takes like thousands of watts. Like, so if I were to for the key light back there, I'd probably use a 2K or a couple 1Ks, like minimum. I'd probably do probably a 2K or maybe 4,000
And they get really
watts.
hot, right?
Yeah, that is the infrared light. It's not as great down here in Florida, but in Wyoming, when it's too cold for me to work outside or it's like snowing or something, I have a 250 watt chicken lamp, which is just a 250 watt incandescent bulb next to my indoor work setup, and I just blast that on me all day long. It makes such a difference.
Really?
Yeah, and you want to talk about red light therapy? Well, we were talking that a little bit about your house, the red LEDs and the red light panels. Those are great, sure, photobiomodulation, but they're like 2 wavelengths or 3 maybe, whereas the sun is all of the wavelengths in the visible, so many wavelengths in the infrared. So I'm a big fan of broad spectrum light. And
Jack was in here. He was like, "You guys are f***ing up. You need to take the roof off this building, open up that wall. You guys are f***ing blowing it."
You could just open the windows.
There's no windows in here.
Oh,
we're in a spaceship. Have you noticed?
Yeah, I did notice. It's kind of tripping me out.
I tried the best I could. We have full spectrum cinema LED.
You know
lights.
what I like here? That we're not being assaulted with some like high powered LED or fluorescent light.
Just that light, pretty much.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Like I think this is much better, and it won't be as draining as being blasted with those, typical bright lights you have in like a studio setup. But yeah, that's the trade-off. And it's crazy because it's all about energy efficiency when that, energy that's, invisible and therefore contributing nothing to brightness, which is driving those standards, is so important for our health. And those standards, the DOE is going to 120 lumens per watt in 2028 unless the new administration changes that. So I would say
the DOE is going to 120 lumens per watt. What does that mean in English?
It means it's the standards for efficiency are tripling and how stringent they are by 2028. So even current solutions that just get by, like warmer LEDs, or there's a optics engineer who I'm great friends with who's done a lot of this research on infrared named Scott Zimmerman. He has a company that does a hybrid LED and infrared bulb that will no longer be legal because they have tripled the standard. So even the current LEDs are not efficient enough. So what does that mean? What are the most, bright and most efficient wavelengths? The high energy blue, violet, green. So that there's going to be more of those wavelengths and less of the lower energy, longer wavelengths to balance that. So it's just going to be more distorted, more unbalanced, and worse for our health.
Can you search for something about the Department of Energy with light bulbs and wattage output mandates? Find something about that, because that's fascinating that they would be putting this stuff into place. U.S. Department of Energy finalized new energy efficiency standards for general service lamps, which include common residential and commercial light bulbs, take effect in July 2028. Wow. For newly produced bulbs, the standards will require bulbs to produce more than 120 lumens, but you were fucking spot on, bro, up to the current standard of 45 lumens per watt. These updated standards are expected to save American families $1.6 billion annually on household energy costs and reduce harmful greenhouse gas emissions over 30 years. The DOE projects these standards will save Americans more than $27 billion on utility bills and cut 70 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions. Holy.
But that's nonsense, because guess what happened in the last 20 years? We have so much more light at night. So even though we've switched from incandescents to LEDs, yes, they are more efficient, we're using just way more lights. So we're pretty much like just net neutral in terms of, we haven't really saved any energy. We haven't saved any money. We just have more efficient lights and we use more lights like throughout the day. Whereas if we switch back to incandescents, and again, who needs that many lights on during the day? You shouldn't really.
Right.
Let's get more, natural light from the outdoors. And then at nighttime, you just have some low powered incandescents. It's really such a narrative spin, and of course the entire energy efficiency greenhouse gas situation is it's a giant ploy to just move to this like higher efficiency, smarter life, but it's at such a cost.
So the Department of Energy used to be called the Atomic Energy Commission, and before that it was called the Manhattan Project.
I didn't know that.
This is the same people who made the thermonuclear bomb, bro.
Well, it's not the same people. It's like 7 years ago, right?
Well, it's the same organization.
Same corruption. I mean, every 3-letter agency, we can talk about that. It's the FCC. It's all the same.